So today, we're going to dive into a modern fable that has inspired millions. A story about what happens when you trade a life of excess for one with real purpose and meaning.
We're pulling from Robin Sharma's massive bestseller, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. We've boiled down the most powerful lessons from this amazing story, and it all starts with a pretty dramatic wake-up call.
Let's kick things off with a really powerful question. What if your biggest crisis was actually your greatest opportunity? I mean, really think about that. This is the core idea behind the journey of our main character, Julian Mantle, a guy whose life was about to get turned completely upside down.
All right, so his story, it all starts with this really intense wake-up call. You see, from the outside, this guy Julian Mantle, he seemed to have conquered the world.
Yeah, picture this. Julian Mantle. He's this legal superstar. We're talking a seven-figure income, a massive mansion, a private jet, and of course that prized red Ferrari. I mean, by any standard, he had totally made it.
But, that was just the surface. The real story? His life was completely out of whack. He was just obsessed with getting more prestige, more money, and it was leaving him spiritually just empty.
And all that inner turmoil, it really started to show on the outside. His face was a mass of wrinkles, and he was constantly sick and tired of being sick and tired. Get this, he was only 53, but he looked like he was in his late 70s. The light had just gone out.
And then, it all just imploded. Right in the middle of a packed courtroom, Julian Mantle, this legal giant, just collapses from a massive heart attack. This wasn't just a medical thing, though. This was the universe screaming at him, forcing him to face his own mortality.
So, that crisis? That was it. That was the turning point. After he recovered, Julian did something absolutely nobody saw coming. He just vanished. And that's when this incredible transformation really began.
I mean, he made a seriously radical choice. He sold everything. The mansion, the private jet, and yep, even that Ferrari. And then he just took off for India on this spiritual journey, looking for the kind of answers that money could never buy. Okay, so when he comes back 3 years later, the change is just wow. It's unbelievable. That anxious, sick-looking guy was completely gone. In his place is this lean, strong, totally serene person who's just glowing with health and looks decades younger.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world did this happen? Well, Julian revealed that the secret came from this mystical story, a fable he learned from a hidden group of sages up in the Himalayas.
Way up high in the Himalayas, he stumbled upon these wise people, the sages of Savannah. And they taught him that the 7 virtues for a truly enlightened life were all hidden inside this one kind of strange, mystical fable. And the story starts a little something like this. Okay, so I want you to picture this. You're in a magnificent, lush, green garden. It's a place of just pure tranquility, filled with the most incredible flowers you can possibly imagine. Now, right in the middle of this beautiful garden, what do you see? A towering, 6-story-high red lighthouse. Then, suddenly, the door of the lighthouse creaks open, and out stumbles this, get this, 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler. He just kind of wanders into the middle of the garden. Yeah, a pretty wild image, right? And it gets even weirder. The sumo wrestler isn't totally naked. He's only wearing a pink wire cable to cover himself. This bizarre, totally unforgettable story, this is the key to the whole thing. Okay, so every single part of this crazy story is actually a symbol for a really powerful life lesson. So let's start with the most important one, the foundation of it all, the garden itself.
You see, that garden, that's a metaphor for your mind. If you take care of it, if you nurture it and really cultivate it, it's going to blossom beyond your wildest dreams. But if you let the weeds, things like worry and fear, take root, well, it's just going to wither.
The sages taught that you have to be like a guard at the gate of your own mind. You literally cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought. Worry is like pouring toxic waste into your garden. It just sucks the power right out of your mind, and eventually, it really damages your soul.
Think about this. The sages explained that the average person has something like 60,000 thoughts every single day. But here's the crazy part. A staggering 95% of those thoughts are the exact same thoughts they had the day before. They call this the tyranny of impoverished thinking. It's like being stuck on a loop.
So, how do we get off that loop? How do we start cultivating our own mental garden? Well, The sages offered up 3 simple but incredibly powerful techniques.
Okay, first up is a technique called the heart of the rose. Now this sounds deceptively simple, but its purpose is huge. You're basically training your focus on one beautiful thing, building up that mental muscle of concentration. It teaches your mind how to find stillness even when everything around you is chaotic. The second tool is called opposition thinking. This is all about taking back control. The idea is super simple. Your mind can only hold one thought at a time. So the moment a negative thought pops in, you have to consciously and immediately replace it with a positive, empowering one. It's not about pretending negativity doesn't exist, it's about actively overriding it. And finally, there's the secret of the lake, which is all about the power of visualization. You create these vivid, detailed mental movies of your goals. You see them, you feel them like they've already happened. When you do that, you start to program your subconscious for success and get all your actions aligned with what you truly want.
You know, there's this ancient quote from Patanjali that just captures this whole idea perfectly. It says that when you're inspired by a great purpose, your thoughts break their bonds, your mind goes beyond its limits, and you find out you're a much greater person than you ever dreamed you could be. It's about unlocking that dormant power inside you.
Look, at the end of the day, the first step on this whole journey starts with just one simple act of awareness. So we'll leave you with this one question to really think about. What thoughts are you letting into your garden?